Hey, what's up, guys and girls? Obviously, welcome back to my corner of the world, my little channel here. And boy, am I happy that you're here. If I look a bit tired, it's because work, preparation, and a lot of cool and exciting things are coming, and it's all taking the time and really is. It's a lot of work, but it's great. It's fun. It's very dynamic, and when you do something that you love, and you love what you do, it's not work at all, is it? It's just pure fun. But it does mean that I get a bit less of sleep lately because there's so many things that's happening, which is really cool. Not to mention all of the notes that has to be made for videos. Everything has to be written down, everything has to be scripted, so I get to the main message of what it is that we're talking about. And today we are going to look at something around, I think I learned about this concept the first time when I was like 10 or 12 years old, when I was in school. And it really is something that I've taken with me for my whole life, which is, it sounds like such a stupid cliche. Nevertheless, it's absolutely true, and it has something to do with the fact that there exist no stupid questions. It might be stupid answers, but the question can never be stupid. It could be not well considered. It could be that you already have the answer, but there are no stupid questions. And with that, today we're going to focus on questions that I've gotten over the last period of time, and I really love getting the questions. I love getting the comments, and I take the time to reply each and every single message that I get, because it's just so much. It's so cool to be in contact with so many different people from so many different countries and nationalities, experiences, cultures, what have you. It really makes all of these things worth. Like it's a pleasure for me. Now, what I will say is, the questions that I've gotten, and they are in no particularly order. I've picked up the 10 questions that I think is the most relevant for this time around. And I've picked them because I've actually gotten these questions a couple of times now, and I thought to myself, hey, why don't I do a video over this and then give my opinion instead of sitting and typing like like there's no tomorrow, right? And then I get the question again and again and again and again. So I thought, hey, let's do a video on this one. If you're finding value and if it's something relevant for you and you like what you see, you like what you hear, don't forget to click the like button. Don't forget to drop maybe a comment on other questions you might have or your points of view on some of these questions. And for sure, don't forget to subscribe as we continue to build out with new material. And we have so many cool pieces coming up. By the way, wrist check today. Yes, it is a very, in my opinion, very unique piece from Ocean X. It's the Shark Master. It has not been reviewed yet. It's on the to-do list. It's coming very soon, so you can have a look at that one. But here are the 10 questions that I've gotten so far. And as I said, no particularly order, and we're just gonna get into it. Question number 1, not 11, but question number 1. How much money should I spend on a watch? Okay, this one I've gotten a couple of times. What is a lot of money and what's not a lot of money? And I think the answer varies, right? But I think you should look at it differently. I think you should look at it from the aspect of what I refer to as disposable income. What I mean with that, it's not money that you take and throw in the trash can. It's money that, whether you have it or not, it doesn't really change your living conditions or your living standards, okay? So if you have a disposable income or you have a disposable amount of money sitting in a bank account yielding nothing, and you feel that, hey, this is the time I wanna buy a nice, great piece, that is the money I would be using for that. Would I be starting to look at, well, if I buy this one, I might be able to afford my rent, I might not be able to afford my rent? Definitely, I wouldn't buy a watch then. And I'll give you a small little story. So I'm part of like different communities, and when you see these stories where it's not really too lucky for this person. So there's a guy that I know of that he's been ramping up with Rolexes. He's a massive Rolex fan, And that's great. I mean, that, like, whatever rocks your boat, right? That's great. You love Rolexes, you can afford them, and all of these things. And he had a superb collection of Rolexes. Keyword is had, because he put basically all of his money into watches. Something unexpectedly happened, and he had to start to sell out of these pieces. And they are absolutely amazing pieces. Collector items, no doubt. But he was in such a rush with cash that he wasn't able to negotiate like the top price for it. He had to sell on a massive discount as well. Well, massive, maybe 10-15% below the price that if he would have waited, been patient, and all of these things, he could have like made that extra amount of money. It's not that sad that he sold it for 10% less. It's the fact that he had to sell it. And so that is really the message here. How much money should I spend on a watch? Well, it depends. 100 euros, you can get a great watch. By the way, that you can see in the $1,000 challenge, where the pieces that I'm getting there, they are at a very affordable and a very decent level compared to the price. If your disposable income is, I don't know, 5,000 euros every month, or $5,000 every month, hey, great for you. You can afford something more expensive. Super, if that's, again, what makes you excited. I don't think that there is, if it's bad, if it's low cost or high cost, or if it's this or if it's that, it automatically is, super duper or like terrible. I think what you really do need to consider is, if I don't see this amount of money again on my bank account, I'm good. This is like the advice that you also get from typically from your banker when it comes to stocks, right? Don't buy something if you urgently need the money, right? Look at the money as they're gone, and you will never see it again. When you then get the money back and there's interest and blah, all of these things, great. That's how I look at watches as well. My disposable income allows me to look at my whole watch list that I have and then pick and choose which one am I gonna go after right now. That might be 200 euro, right? It might be 500 euros. It might be 2,000 euros. It doesn't matter. That's not how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at, this is the amount of money I have that I don't need. And if I don't see it, I'm cool with that, okay? That's the point that you should have. Point 2, which watch do I absolutely have to buy? Oof. This is obviously in the eye of the beholder. Absolutely eye of the beholder. If you can afford it, then I would definitely go after, a couple of the classics. I would go after Breitling. Again, no specific order. Breitling I would go after, right? I'd go after Rolex, I'll go after Tag Heuer, I'd go after Omega, and that's about where I would look at, right? If you can afford those. If you can't afford those, I would definitely look at some of the really cool brands that are doing amazing watches. No doubt in my mind, not because I have multiple items or multiple pieces, but Seiko for me is absolutely legendary. And it's not only if you are a divers fanatic or diver watch fanatic, but it's also if you like urban style, if you want classic and what have you. So Seiko is definitely one that I would look at. I would look at really figuring out what your style is and then go according to that. So the answer is, it all depends. But I would definitely say that a good diver watch or good diver's watch really does belong in everybody's collection. I think a good dress watch would belong as well. I have one myself, and I absolutely love it. I don't get to wear it that often because, as you can see, I'm not very formally dressed. My style is a lot different than that. I would go with a dress watch as well, right? And so, again, it depends on how much can you afford. That will allow you to look after the different brands that are then available there. I will say you can get a lot of really great brands that are not super expensive. Tissot makes wonderful watches. Longy makes some really cool pieces as well. Seiko, as I said, really cool pieces. I do have to say that I have a weakness, because that's maybe where my whole history started with watches. I have a history with Citizen as well. Citizens, for me, they make a lot of great pieces. So you can look at that one as well. again, I would look at what does your budget allow and then go according to that. When you get a bit more, how would I say it? Like when you become a bit more serious in collecting, that is then when you start to eye or you start to look out for what is it, what kind of person am I versus what kind of watches am I wearing. I'm very much into durability. I'm very much into the diver area, and I like somewhere around the 42, 43 millimeter up until 45 millimeters. So I would go where that size is. I don't like tiny pieces. That's just my style. So I would stay away from those, me personally. Again, if your style is you like them small, you like them discreet, great, go for that. But there is like massive amount of pieces and brands and companies that you should go with that I don't know where to start. But what you should absolutely aim for, that I think should be in anybody's collections when they eventually can afford it, is those that I said. You should have a Tag at one point. A Tag Heuer is a great piece. Rolex, of course, no need to introduce that. Breitling, and I would also say Omega, right? I myself don't have an Omega right now. I've got multiple items, Omega, that I'm looking at, and it's just a matter of time before I myself pull the trigger on it. And then I have to admit that on my list, very high up on watches that you absolutely must have, I would also say that Baume & Mercier is coming there. I have two pieces. I just picked up a new one. Absolutely love it. Fantastic company. So that's with that one. Number 3, is Quartz bad? Let me put it differently. What is better? Quartz, mechanical, or mega quartz? Those are the 3 alternatives. A, B, and the one in the middle, which is a bit of a hybrid model. Which one is better? There are pros and there are cons on all of them, right? And so if you're running pure quartz and if you're running pure mechanical, or you're in the middle, there's all pros and cons on that. And again, you can have the purist on either side of the aisle, and you can also have the one that prefers the one in the middle, right? So we're doing a video on one where there is actually mega quartz, which is the hybrid model where you have overlay and all of these different things. I personally think that mega quartz is pretty cool. It gives, in that case, both quartz and the mechanical part, put it in one, looks perfect, works like a charm. So I'm cool with that. My preference is mechanical. My preference is definitely that. It's that, for me, is in my opinion, that is a real watch. Quartz is super cool because it allows so much and it has a fantastic history. The accuracy, the functionalities, and what you can do and what not, and all of these things, absolutely amazing. Would I go and say mechanical, quartz, either one of them is better? No, I would say it's a matter of preference. So you have to look at which one do you prefer. If you're all for batteries and if you're all for all of those different things where you can maybe get much more functionality on it, great, do that. If you are I really just need to tell the time and maybe the date, great, that's cool as well. Now, for some of my divers, as I said, my passion for Citizen and Seiko does mean that I have both quartz and I also have mechanical, right? So one of the things that, we uploaded a video just recently on the Seiko S5 automatic Pepsi, which is automatic, super cool. I also have a Seiko that's not, also very cool, right? So I don't want to go and be the one that lectures everybody else and saying, this is better, that's worse. For me, it depends. My preference, my own personal preference, is mechanical. Also because I really loved and learned how to appreciate that when I got my first mechanical, that I really, that was mind blowing. It was a funny story, by the way. And that was my Rolex when I got that many years ago. So I made a bit of a joke with the guy that was selling it to me, or the dealer that was, the AD that was selling it to me. And so he was like moving around all of these nice, incredible pieces, right? Rolex. I knew which one I wanted, and I've made up my mind already, but he was trying to sell me other stuff that, like, yeah, no. And he was moving, like, explaining and all of these things, really, really overselling. I made up my mind. I had my money prepared. That's the one that I'm going for. Let's go. And I couldn't help myself. So I said, like, so, but where, like, because you can, like, it's mechanical, right? So you can see it. And he was like, but where does the battery go? And that just stopped him. He didn't know what to answer. He was like, what is, but I said, dude, I'm joking, right? Like, but that was really when I started appreciating the magic, the horology as well with mechanical pieces. And then after that, I just like went mental on all of these different things because I really, really love, again, what fine watchmakers, they've been able to do with the mechanical engineering from 150 years ago up until today. Like the evolution and the discovery and inventions and all of these things just makes me absolutely bananas with that. Quartz has something similar. I have to admit, I know less about quartz than I do about mechanical, but again, it's also something that's very, very interesting for me. Is A better than B and B better than no? I don't think so. In my opinion, it's a matter of preference. That was question 3. Question 4. Where should I buy my watch from? I would definitely always recommend you to go for an AD, so an authorized dealer. And I would do that because when you're picking up a watch, you should always get box and official or original papers, always. And I know that many people, they buy without paper, and I know they buy without box, and they save 20, 30, 50, how many percent it is. There is a very, very big risk with that, okay? There's an incredibly big risk with that, and that is that the watch could be stolen. So if you cannot get original paper and box on it, there are some companies that simply will not service your piece, and that means eventually it will go and lower the value of it because you can't get it serviced. And again, I just, like, a situation that just happened today was I called an AD because I need to get a new rubber strap for a piece that I just got. And the first thing that this guy asked me for was, I need the number of the certification or the certified that this is actually original. And I need like this data here that you only get if it's an original piece. If I didn't have that, he would like hang up on me and say, you know what, sorry, sir, you're not gonna get any service from us. Because that's the policy of these ADs that services this brand, specific brand. Where should I buy it from? AD, absolutely AD to begin with. If you're buying secondhand, for example, mint conditions, always look for paper and box. And I would, in my opinion, I've got very, very good experience with that, would be Chrono 24, right? So Chrono 24 is fair, right? They're very, very fair because they're very much looking at it from a customer's perspective and also from a seller perspective, right? So they want both parts to be happy. Again, you can argue that they're priced too much from the seller's perspective, but from the buyer's perspective, it's a better deal and what have you. Their pricing model is their business, but they have one thing that's incredible, and that is they've got certification, authentication, and they've got that, listen, if anything happens, then you can always return it. So those are things that for me is incredibly important. Escrow account, if I transfer money, great. I know that I can always get it back, which by the way happened the other day. I was waiting for a piece. The guy didn't send it to me after 2 months, said, pull the plug, let's not do it. Send me back my money. That happened as well. No problem, no questions asked. Absolutely fantastic service. So I would go with those that offer escrow service, that have a long track record and have a bucket load of clients that are happy, right? You have to look at, are the clients happy from the service that they're getting? If there is an issue, can you get support on the line? Can you get it resolved or can you not do it? And so with that, I would really look at that. So AD, places like Chrono 24, stuff like that. I know that there's one that's like called like Watch Warehouse or something like that. Could work as well. Of course, those are places. If you're buying it from abroad, you need to make sure that they get delivered, they're insured, like absolutely first class delivery and all of these different things. If it gets sent to you as it's a wet newspaper or something like that, bang, I'm done. So that's where I would go. Would I buy a watch from a friend? I would, if I get papers and box as well. right? But AD and then these trusted platforms that actually allows you to do all of these things. So that would be that one. Question 5. Let me just get, now I'm not wearing any Pepsi. I can get my Coke Zero. Are all watches a good investment? Easy answer, no, it's not. All watches are not a good investment. A lot of watches are actually a cost because you wear them and you tear them. It's that simple. You can be lucky and you can find watches that are incredibly conditioned. They are absolutely, they are like the unicorn, right? Like you hear stories, myth about them. They are legend, but you've never seen it, and then you stumble upon it. That could be a great investment. If you're buying a piece that is normally a daily beater or something like that, is it a good investment? Well, it depends on how you define an investment. Can I get my money back double, triple, or quadruple? Maybe not. But is that the only way that you can measure investment? I would argue, no, it's not. How much are you getting out of it? Enjoy, fun, peace, entertainment, what have you, right? Like, how much is that actually important for you? Because that could be much more important than, am I gonna lose $100, $200, $300, and $500, right? So how much are you getting out of it from wearing it? And that is not, money. It's not going to be a return on investment. I'll give you an example. I bought a watch which is a clear beater. It's a clear beater. I wear it and I tear it, and it's absolutely never going to sell for the amount of money that I paid for it. There's no way, unless I become like Paul Newman or Steve McQueen or some of the famous guys that was wearing watches. When they discovered the watch like 40 years later, goes on an auction at Christie's, and then all of a sudden, bam, $4 million. No, that's not gonna happen. But the pleasure I have out of wearing that beater, that I don't have to worry about if I break it, destroy it, or drop it, with that, it actually is something that it's very, very cool, and I get a lot of excitement out of wearing it. Is that worth more to me than the money aspect of it? Oh yes, it is. But if you're looking pure and simple on money, the easy answer is no. Not everything is a great investment. Not everything. The more you use something, right? The more you use it, the more you scratch it, the more you destroy it, the lower the price becomes in theory, right? Or also in practice. But are you okay with that? Then, right, cool. Why? Like, what's the worry? Are you buying a piece to wear, or are you just buying it to, pack it somewhere or store it somewhere? Those are two different things. So when we did the video around the Breitling Cold, right? That for me is not a watch I'll wear. That for me is like one of the holy grails. And so that got parked. I'm not wearing it because it's in so good condition, and it's such an incredibly beautiful piece, in my opinion, that I want to hand off to my son when he becomes old enough. That's for you, right? And so that is an investment for me right there, and I'm not gonna wear it. And do I think that the return on the investment is gonna come on that piece? You better believe it. You absolutely would believe that I am expecting that will become an investment. And by the way, I already see that the price is going up now. So, I can easily imagine that 10, 15 years from now, it will look like complete different. So no, they're not all a good investment, but the question really is, does it always matter? And if you buy a watch and it's just an investment and you have no fun out of it, what are you missing out on? That really is the question. That was question 5. Question 6. I am not a watch expert. How do I become one? I would say, do you need to become a watch expert? I mean, are you going to do it for a living? Or are you just going to be passionate, motivated, driven, excited about it? Like myself, I'm not an expert. I'm far from being an expert. I spend a lot of time reading, studying, looking, analyzing, discussing, talking, all of these different things. Am I an expert? No, I'm not. And I'm okay with not being an expert. Do I need to be an expert? I don't need to be an expert. I have opinions and I go and study and I go and research, but I don't need to become an expert. If you want to become an expert, there are so many great websites available for you, so much material available for you. And by the way, you can also go and do training and education on it with not only ADs that can teach you about, what is this brand, blah, 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 but you can actually look at some of the watchmakers that actually do courses on what does it mean to do all of these different things. Will that make you an expert? I don't know. Will it make you much more knowledgeable about like what's working, the internal, the mechanism, all of these things? I would say yes. But again, the question is, why would you need to become an expert, right? So the thing that I dislike right now the most about this whole, what we have with watch communities, right? What I dislike the most is it's all about the objectivity and less about the subjectivity. What do I mean with that? Everybody, or not everybody, main majority of everybody talks about the mechanics of the watch. They'll run through the numbers. This is crystal, this is not, this is this is that. Then it has this, and then it has that, and then it does this, and then it does that. What very, very few people actually talk about is the aesthetic. It's the design, it's the feeling, it's the emotions, all of these different things. And that's the subjective aspect of it. And so if I want to know about, if I want to know about the mechanics, I can read the manual, okay? I can go to the website, but that doesn't give me much information. If you tell me what kind of mechanisms is in the Ocean X, that doesn't do anything for me. But tell me the story. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not an expert in the mechanics. I don't know the names and terminology of all of the wheels and barrels and what have you, cylinders in a watch. But what does that do for you if I knew that? Versus what feelings and emotions does it evoke? And so the question really is, why do you need to be an expert? You should learn how to communicate the story of the piece, of the company, why it is that you chose this one. That's at least my opinion. But that doesn't mean you need to be an expert. That just means that you need to find a real strong passion and motivation for doing what it is that we're doing, right? And so I'm not that cool on being experts or not being experts, and I'm okay with that. Here's one of my really one of the interesting questions. What is a micro brand and should I buy any? What is a micro brand and should I buy anything? So when you're looking up the definition of micro brands typically are they're differentiating themselves from established companies with the fact that they only do around 200 to 2,000, 3,000 watches, and then they're done. Like, not that they go bankrupt, but then they go done, like they're done with that one. And so they have a very strong limitations in terms of like how much are they going to release, how much can they release, and all of these things. There's a difference between being a Kickstarter and a micro brand. So those are two different things, right? A Kickstarter is, we need funding from you guys to actually help launch this watch. We have done the watch in theory. Now practically we want to do it. That's different than a micro brand. Micro brand already delivers watches. And some of the more established companies now, they started as micro brands. They started as small little, more or less self-contained entities that was, delivering a handful of products, and then they had to sell all of that to be able to afford the new ones. Over time, they then grew into becoming bigger companies, and then all of a sudden they had to rip the badge off as a micro brand and actually now are a watch company. Micro brand is incredibly exciting for me, absolutely exciting for me, because there are some fantastic companies that are doing amazing pieces, absolutely gorgeous pieces, fantastic design, aesthetic off the chart, and they are up and coming. So as they are up and coming, if you are looking for something that could be incredible to wear, incredible to own, micro brands is definitely something you should look out for. There are also several micro brands that had very high potential, could not fulfill that, went bankrupt, and now you have a problem if you need servicing of the watch, for example. So, should I buy one? I would buy from more established micro brands, and I would buy with the fact knowing that there's a chance, I don't know, 50-50, less of a chance that, 10 years from now they won't be around, potentially. But again, going back to my first question, how much should I spend on a watch? Disposable income. If it goes bankrupt, am I going to, sit and cry around it, or am I actually have had a lot of fun with wearing this piece? I think the latter. So should you buy a micro brand? Why not? Why not? If you love the design, if you love the aesthetic, if you love everything around it, why not give it a try? Okay. Be careful though with the prices, and be careful not to confuse micro branding with kickstarting fundings, right? Because I have looked at a couple of companies where they're like, hey, help us out with a couple of dollars and then we'll launch this one and then you can buy it. So I'm like, first I pay and then I can buy. Okay, that doesn't make any sense for me. And there's not even any guarantee that, anything great is going to come out of it. So micro brand, yes. Kickstarting, be careful with that. Established companies, obviously you can go after that with, not to worry too much about that. Micro brands, I will do a completely separate video on some of the cool companies on the micro brands. And so you should be making sure that you get the subscription done as well, and you put on notifications so you don't want to miss that. But micro brands for me is incredibly exciting space, right? Incredibly exciting space, because I think that we are going to see not a revolution but an evolution to how we have seen the watch industry performing so far, and I'm very excited about that. What should I do if I want to build my first watch collection? What should I do if I want to build my first watch collection? Watch more of my videos, obviously. Honestly, what you should do is you should say, great, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. And you should start to understand what kind of personality you are and what is your specific style. Style goes a long way in terms of buying a piece you're actually gonna wear. Okay, what do I mean with this? So I know what kind of pieces I love and I know what kind of pieces I do not want to wear. So why would I buy a piece that I'm not going to wear? And I can already see that on the design. Why would I wear it? So why would I buy that one? And so if I'm starting out as a watch collector and I'm starting to build my collection from scratch, what is the most important thing for me is to figure out what kind of personality am I? Am I wearing suits all the time? Because then maybe I don't want to go with divers. Am I more like myself, urban style, jeans, t-shirt, cap, sneakers? Because then I might want to go with something a bit more robust. What about size? What size do I feel comfortable with? As I mentioned, I would not go for anything. I do have some that are smaller, but typically I feel very comfortable wearing something that's around 42, 43 millimeter up until 45 millimeter. I feel very, very comfortable with that. So that is kind of like where I think that my size is, that's the one I prefer to have. I feel good about it. And I love the sizing of it and all of these different things. What I think you have to look at as well is, what are you into? Is rubber strap your thing? Because if it is your thing, then maybe you don't want to buy a dress watch. Is the bracelet not gonna be is that gonna be metal? Okay, maybe. Okay, great. Leather? I don't like leather. Honestly, on pieces that I have, if there's leather on it, I try to change it as soon as possible because I just don't. It's not my type. And so those are things to take into consideration. And that is really one of the things you have to understand about yourself. What do I think? Do I love it or don't I love it? And here is the trick. Try it on first. Try on the piece. See what you look like. Is there a mirror? Okay, that looks great, man. I love it. It's like when you put on shoes, right? When you're trying the shoes on, you look at it. With jeans, yeah, it looks good. It looks nice. That's the same thing you do, man. Like, you have to try and see if this is something that makes you feel comfortable or not, right? And I have a couple of pieces where love the design, absolutely love the design, put it on my wrist and went like, nope, that's not gonna rock, right? I have that. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and he's like, man, I love this piece. And I'm like, I have it as well. And I absolutely don't love it. And he's like, man, it's a fantastic piece. I was like, I don't disagree. Aesthetically, it's a fantastic piece. I just hate wearing it. So no, it's not a fantastic piece for me. And so that's what you have to figure out. What kind of personality am I? What is it that I'm associating myself with? Or like, what do I like? What don't I like? What would look good on me? And that's where you have to really figure out your size and your type. Once you have that, go for it. Figure out what is your top 10 list of brands. Figure out the models that they have, right? And look at the cost of it. And then again, go back to what can you afford? Save a bit of money, great, okay. There's no bad there's no shame in having to save for watches. I was the same thing, or I am still the same thing, the same one. And so no, that's perfectly fine. It's very, very cool to have something that you aspire to get because you are working hard to get something that you really, really are gonna enjoy and be excited about. So definitely figure that out. By the way, don't buy any watch on credit. That is the dumbest thing that you can possibly do in this world. Don't do that. You just lose too much money there. Save for it instead and then buy it. You will have much more ease of mind and you would have a lot more fun with the whole journey going towards there and the anticipation and all of these things. Consider it Christmas, right? If Christmas was every day, that's not fun, but it is the lead up to it that makes it so much more fun and entertaining. That's what you should be considering as well when you're building your watch collection. Any watch collection that you are building, you need to build on the foundationals, right? You need to build on the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are, here are the 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces I aspire to have in my collection, and then go after them one by one by one, right? That there is one of the things I would look at myself, and I have been doing over time as well. So that was part 8 or question 8. Question 9. Why are you so passionate about watches? And what is your favorite type of watches? Second part of the question first. Boop. Divers. Love it. Love divers watches. Dress watches, not my thing. Divers, absolutely love them. I would say approximately 75% of my collection is diver watches. Different from the low end to the high end. And I love them. I love the different designs and the different types of it. Because if you are comparing Ocean X, for example, the design, ding, with Rolex, completely different design. But the Rolex I have, diver. This one, diver. They are completely different. And you can wear them differently. And they will make you look completely different when you're stepping outside wearing, again, a set t-shirt, jeans, and a pair of sneakers. One is going to make you a bit more, cool, calm, and relaxed. The other one is going to like, don't mess with this guy. I'm kidding, right? You can mess with me as much as you want to. But divers for sure is my preference. Why am I passionate about watches? Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Why am I passionate about watches? Watches, and that actually goes to the last question, which is, what is so fascinating with horology, the study of time? The study of time is, for me, something that started already very early on with mathematics. Mathematics and physics, time, motions, all of these different things. And not only that, but if you are looking fundamentally at time, time is the only thing that cannot stop or cannot be stopped, right? Now we can have a philosophical conversation about, no, there are more things, Martin. No, there's, okay, whatever. But horology is, whether we like it or not, time will go on with you or without you. Doesn't matter. And so knowing that aspect of something so big, so vast, just continues to infinity and more is incredibly, incredibly fascinating, both philosophically and also from what I am able to have on my wrist as a constant reminder that my time on this planet is finitive, while time is infinitive. So I am a bit of a mixed bag of emotions between, is that cool or is that not cool? That I know that I have finite amount of time versus infinitive amount of time in itself. That's a topic that's up for discussion. And I think that there is where horology just becomes so much more when we're looking at this whole understanding of what infinity is. And that is where, again, as I said, mathematics comes into it, physics comes into it, and all of these different things, which is a massive, massive fascination that I have. Passionate about watches is, some are passionate about shoes, some are passionate about cars. I have no passion for these different things. But watches for me is one of, I would say, in my opinion, one of mankind's biggest creations. Like, because it is, again, the whole concept of something that is as big as time itself, infinitive plus more, that now you're actually able to at least measure the definitive part of it. That's pretty cool. I love it. I love watches as not only time keeping, right, or time telling, but I love it as well as, if it's the right thing, it's that sort of accessories that just goes from being dull to being a cool looking thing, right? And so for me, that's the reason why aesthetic design is so important for me when I buy my pieces. Because if they are not an extended, I don't know, how can I put that? They are extending my personality. They are extending how I am as a human being. So they are building on my personality and my character and everything I've gone through in life, good or bad, right? And so that really is something that says something about me, and that becomes a symbol for me. The same thing with tattoos and what have you. And so that there is one of the things where I really look at it as, okay, this is me. This screams me, right? Or no, this is not me, right? Nothing bad against brands or different types, but it is just, is it me or is it not me? By the way, lights went off just right now, so if it gets a bit darker, that's the reason why. But so the fascination with watches comes from horology in itself, right? The study of time, infinity plus one, right, almost. And I just find it absolutely incredible. I find it incredible with the technology. I find it fascinating with the history. I find it fascinating with the innovation that we've been able to drive as, different brands, different companies, and all of these things, and what we've been able to do over the past, 100, 200 years almost, right? And so I am very passionate about that. Sharing my message and sharing what I'm going through or have gone through, and hopefully one or two people can learn from me. That's also something that then feeds back to my passion and want to do more with it. And so it becomes this fueling mechanism of, being able to reach out to people reaching out to me, sharing information, knowledge. This is what I bought, that's what I bought, and all of these different things. And it just becomes part of this whole community of, not purists, but horologists, right? Like, where you're starting to look at having something in common, and, you are like commenting on other people's pieces and all of these different things. You're making fun of people when they are, fun with people, not fun of people. Sorry, let me correct myself there. But you're making fun with them on like that's a silly piece that you bought, or that's a great piece, or like, why didn't you get this one with Pac-Man instead of Mickey Mouse, and what have you, right? Like, so those are some of the things that also is great about that. I've met a ton of cool people through my passion, and I mean, I just love that. And I hope that you yourself can see my passion coming from what it is that I'm talking about here. So here we go. Those were the 10 questions that I've gotten so far. Well, not so far, that I've been able to cover with you this time around. Let me just run through them really fast. How much money should I spend on a watch? Disposable income, boop, there you go. Don't spend too much money if you can't afford it. Which one should I absolutely buy? Depends what kind of personality you are. You should eventually have aspirations to buy some of the top 4, top 5 brands in the world, right? Rolex, Omega being on that list as well. If you can afford even the higher ones, Patek and what have you, great, cool, but go for that one. Is Quartz bad? It's not worse, it's not better. It is what it is. It's Quartz. Mechanical is mechanical. It's your preference, whichever you prefer. There is nothing good, there's nothing bad about either one of them. There is good and bad on both sides of the aisle. Doesn't matter. Where should I buy the watch from? AD or trusted platforms that allows you to handle any shopping via escrow and have good support functions. Meaning, can you actually get a person on the line that will tell you, hey Martin, yeah, we'll fix that one. Don't worry, sit by the telephone, money is coming back, no problem. All money, is that a good investment? That was question 5. Answer is no. Some can actually be a terrible, terrible drain on cost or drain on financials. But then on the other hand side, what pleasures are you getting out of it? That's what you have to consider as well. I'm not a watch expert, and that's fine. That was question number 6. Micro brands, small limited amount of drops of watches that potentially over time can grow into real watch companies. Not the same as Kickstarters. Be careful with Kickstarters. Not saying that you shouldn't buy it, but be careful. Do your research, do your research, do your research. How should I start my building out my watch collection? Figure out what kind of personality you are. Figure out what you love. Figure out what you don't love. And start to actually map out that whole list of pieces, brands, types, models, and numbers that actually would satisfy you in the beginning, right? Philosophical question that I had with some of my friends the other day. Can a watch collector ever have enough watches? The answer is, I don't think so. Question 9, passion. And my favorite types of watches. Favorite type of watches, look, divers. And the passion is from the study of time. It's a study of time, it's a study of finity versus infinity, and the fact that I can have it on my wrist. That is about it for this time around. If you have gotten value out of this, if you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe underneath. Give me a like, give me a comment, and don't be afraid to send me your questions as well. And we will do another round of 10 quick questions and answers when we feel that there is enough repetitive questions coming in with that. And don't forget, there are no stupid questions or silly questions. There are answers that nobody wants to hear, but that's a different story. Till our next time, friends, take care, be safe, and I'll see you around. Bye.